We are live.
So it's 10:01. I'd like to call the meeting to order for the Frontenac Accessibility Advisory Committee meeting. We have a pretty short agenda here, but we'll get started. The first thing here, adoption of the agenda. Can I get a motion to adopt the agenda from for July 2022? Bill and okay, and Jerry, second. Okay, all in favor? Point 3, disclosure of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof. I don't think there is anything under that. Number 4, adoption of the minutes from the April 5th, 2022 meeting. Can I get a motion for that? Bill?
I'll move.
All right. Jerry? Point 5, any deputations or presentations? I don't believe we have. Point 6, reports of the Accessibility Advisory Committee. Were you going to speak to that, Jeanette?
Yeah, for sure. So really the report is just a little bit of what has been happening at the county over the last quarter. So the first one you'll see there is with respect to the Verona Trailhead improvements. So I did want to note to the committee that there is accessible parking signage that has been ordered and will be installed once it's here. Just to remind the committee as well that under the Municipal Act, if somebody does park in an accessible parking space without a permit, it is a $300 fine. So those will be enforced as well. In terms of the accessibilizing of documents, we have a new administrative clerk who is starting with us on July the 11th, next Monday. So her focus will be totally on accessibilizing documents. So we have a number of PDFs that are still not in accessible format that cannot be put on our website. So because we are working off-site and she'll not be doing some things that typically would be done in the office, her focus will be on making sure that we have our accessible housing order.
So she'll just be converting all that document. Is that sort of her role?
Yes. So there is some training on how to make PDFs accessible. There's training out there for that, which she will be taking. So it's quite a process to take them through a tracker to make sure that they are accessible. So what she'll be doing is going and taking that training. It takes about a week, and then she'll be going through the documents one by one. We'll be able to send them to her as well. She'll have other focuses as well, of course, because there are a number of desks at the county administration site that can be used by staff who need to be on site. So she will be on site for a few days a month as well, but her focus really will be to make sure that we're ensuring compliance with our documents. So the next one there, in terms of the redevelopment of the administration building, staff are to vacate the building by July the 15th. Most staff are already moved off site, working from home or other locations. The redevelopment of the building is anticipated to take about 12 to 18 months. And we're going to see a vast number of improvements in accessibility when this happens. There'll be fully accessible washrooms. There'll be 2, one at the main entrance and the other one by the new council chamber. I did, as I noted in the report, a notice of disruption has been posted on our website, and it assures the public that staff remain available and how they can contact us as well. And then the last one there is regarding our 2023 multi-year accessibility plan. So to date, there's been no comments or no interaction on our Engage Frontenac website. So Matt Mills, who is our communications officer, is on this meeting today, and I've just asked him, he's going to speak to the committee a little bit about how we can possibly use that site to get a little bit more engagement from the public. So Matt, if you'd like to take it away.
Hi, everybody. I hope you can all see and hear me. I'd just like to do a quick little tour of Engage Frontenac for those of you who maybe not entirely familiar with it. It's kind of a website, but it is a little bit distinct, and our projects actually do a lot of great work. So I want to show you some of that stuff here. Just going to try and share my screen if I could. Can everybody see everything? That looks good. Okay, so this is our engagefrontenac.ca page, different from frontenaccounty.ca, for example. Engage Frontenac is a site that is specifically designed to facilitate user engagement. So the idea, rather than a website, which is really designed to inform people, to give people a way to learn about things, the idea is to get people to actively participate. And so for us and your committee, what that means is mostly to get people to tell us what they think and what they think we should be doing going forward. So it's the perfect tool for getting people to submit their thoughts and ideas related to the multi-year accessibility plan review. We'll get to that project page in a second, but I just want to show you to date our most successful project. And I'm measuring success by the number of people that participated. So the number of times people in the community filled out surveys, answered questions, participated in an active way. The purposes of this project were to for the zoning bylaw review in Central Frontenac. The township required by statute to collect that information. So as you can see, there's a nice little graphic at the top. There is in the center of every single page a description of what exactly the use case is, what the purpose is of the page. On this side, we have a life cycle, so dates, steps, for example, if we have a project, if in your plan review, there's a project timeline, it's good to add this sort of stuff so that folks can come here and have a look. It's also really useful to save the important documents and important links, everything that's germane to the work at hand. It's a great place to store and place background information and process information. And as you can see, all kinds of documents, right? So users can simply click on the document and they will almost instantly, this one was downloaded because it's a Word document, almost instantly they'll be able to review that material. It's important that all that information is available and easy to navigate in one place so that users are most likely to make informed contributions, right? We want folks to come to the project with a good understanding of some of the issues so that they make suggestions that are useful and they can make contributions that are helpful to the entire process and to you as a committee. And we also find that those that use Engage Frontenac in this way, that is, they include all of their background information for folks to access. We noticed that those users notice themselves not answering the same questions again and again and again and again and again. It can be very useful for that. Now, the engagement tools are these little tabs right across the bottom of the page. And in this case, we have a place for users to submit and ask questions. So they'll ask us a question. I'll get an email that says somebody's asked a question. We can go and answer their question. There's a forum, so folks can log in and have free-flowing and free-ranging discussion. We also have on this particular project a whole number of surveys on very specific topics that we rolled out that were very, very useful, and a news feed as well, which is just as it sounds. It's a place to publish updates and to let everybody know really what's going on. We have a bunch of other engagement tools, including quick polls, which is when you just ask a single question of users, a guest book, just a place for people to add their ideas. We also have a map where you can drop pins. So if, for example, the committee decided that they wanted to have a map where users could drop pins on areas that they felt could use improvement for accessibility, areas where there were not on-street parking or there off-street parking, or whether there were areas where that just weren't accessible, that folks would like to see fixed up, we could do something like that there. Also on the accessibility file, I certainly hope that folks have had a chance to see this. This is our accessibility in Frontenac project, which is different from the review project that we're here to talk about today. But this is a place where we have all of the material, as far as I know, that's related to accessibility in Frontenac in one single place. And of course, including the winners of the accessibility awards from last year and the year previously, as well as links to all of the legislation and regulation that we follow here at the county related to accessibility. There's some material there about available grants for those looking to engage in an accessible projects. They can maybe find some funding for those sorts of things, as well as all of the material that we've added for the future. Let's see, what do we have next? Another one of the great things about engagefrontenac.ca is that we can really easily and really quickly collect, analyze, collate, and disseminate all of the information in an accessible, but if needed, in a way that protects the identities and the personal information of those who are submitting. And so you can see we received 208 contributions to our backyard chicken survey on the byline review. All of that stuff is really, really useful. All of it goes to the township council, and the hope is that we get the same kind of support and so on for your work as well. And so the project that we're here to talk about, that we need a little bit of attention on social, is this one here, the 2022 Multi-Year Accessibility Plan Review. We've got a really good start on that project. A lot of the background information is here and available. We also have some engagement tools. And then the idea is we use social media tools to drive people to these engagement tools, to drive people to this project, right? So that's where social media comes in. And invariably, people make a lot of comments on social media as well. And we go out and collect those comments by hand and submit them all for councillor committees consideration as needed. One of the biggest secrets to success for an Engaged Frontenac project is that, and one of the biggest mistakes that folks make when they're starting an Engaged Frontenac project, is to leave everything really, really open-ended. This is the big mistake, right? So if we simply say, just tell us what you think about accessibility in Frontenac, or if we say, this is your place to share your thoughts and ideas and so on, there's plenty of open-ended opportunities for folks to share what they say. But if we, to really be successful, we really need to direct or at least start the conversation and the dialogue on these topics. So we need very specific questions that we need to ask constituents in order to get them even just started. Alternatively, I've found, especially with projects that involve planning, that if you've got to direct the dialogue, right? So you need to ask people specific questions in order to get most response for the work. So I encourage you very, very strongly as a committee, or I'm certainly happy to help with that, to write and pose direct questions, and or to come up with at least one survey. And again, I can help with that if there's an appetite for it. Come up with a survey. In the previous projects, anytime we had surveys for folks to fill out, we had high numbers of participation. And in Central Frontenac, in that project, they were in the hundreds on every single time. So I'm hoping that we can do the same for this initiative. So I just wanted you to have another look around, engage Frontenac, and to see the resources that we have on the accessibility file available to constituents, and of course available to Jeanette and you as a committee to manipulate and make as successful as it can be.
Matt, sorry, Janet McDonald has her hand up. I think she has a question for you. Okay.
I was just about to say questions. Janet, how can I help you?
Hi, thanks, Matt. It's really interesting seeing behind the scenes and how rich Engage Frontenac is. It will be exciting to see data. You mentioned that it's promoted through social media. In my experience, an awful lot of disabled people don't use social media. How else can it be promoted so we can succeed?
Any way that we can send a link. So if we can send it via email, if we can send it on social, even with word of mouth, it is the digital platform. However, if you have constituents that you are sure do not have access or do not want access to the internet, then this material can be produced on paper, and information can be collected in person. Easy to do a focus group if there's an appetite for that. Get people together in person to collect some of this information. Easy to do it on the internet, and also you can do it with paper. We can just we can ask people. We do have an invitation on this page for folks to submit written requests, and a phone number. Folks can reach Jeanette if, for example, they find themselves in a spot where they're not comfortable with the internet for whatever reason.
So I'm not talking about people who can't use the internet. I'm talking about how people find out that it's there if they don't hang out on social media. So for example, if there was a small write-up on this in the newsletter that the Senior Center in Kingston sends out, many of their members live in the county, not in the city of Kingston. That would be a good way of letting people know it's out there. If I wasn't on this committee, I wouldn't know it existed. Mm-hmm. Also, the tax bill's second installment will be going out shortly. Could we ask the municipalities to include a note about this in the tax bill?
That's above my pay grade, but it seems like an excellent idea.
Thank you.
So just to respond to that question, I can pose this to the townships as well. We do have representatives from the townships here that do send out their own tax bills. So that would be a question for them as well. But I would be more than happy to sort of come up with a flyer that could go out in those bills, as well as work with somebody on the committee, perhaps Kurt Halliday, who's an excellent writer, to come up with some form of a notice that could go in the Senior Center newsletter. There's also a Seniors Center at the Grace Center in South Frontenac as well that we could include there.
Okay. Unless anybody else has any questions, I think that's all I wanted to say. I'm sorry to see you virtually again after seeing faces in person for a short while there again, but as always. Oh, we have another question?
Yeah, this is not really related to your presentation. It's what Jeanette said a while ago about $300 parking fine for handicap locations. My question is this under the Provincial Offences Act, or is this a local bylaw, the $300 fine?
No, that's
Who lays the charge and who collects?
so that's under the Municipal Act. It's a specific $300 fine minimum. So it's done through a parking bylaw. So South Frontenac, I believe, has rights issues parking offenses. So if there's if somebody is parked there in a parking spot clearly marked for accessible parking, they can issue a parking ticket, and that's how it's collected.
Okay, so it's a local bylaw then. I didn't know if it was local or provincial. Okay, thank you.
The local bylaw indicates offenses for parking in an accessible parking spot, but the Municipal Act dictates the amount of that fine.
Okay, thank you, Jen.
I just have a quick question for Matt. Just wondering what kind of traffic do you find goes through the Engage website?
Well, we're still building it. Engage Frontenac is just over a year old, and it depends very much. This is why I was so specific about specific questions. It depends very much on the subject matter and also on how we interact with constituents. I've noticed that if we put something up and leave it there and hope that folks find it organically, it doesn't tend to get the same sort of uptake. And we also find that if we don't pose a question to at least get folks started in the conversation, then there's a certain amount of shoulder shrugging and sort of not much that goes on. Whereas if we pose questions, we'll get strong uptake. It depends also on which projects are running. But right now we are out of the about 60,000 interactions, digital interactions in any given month. Engage Frontenac for all the townships and everybody is around the 1,500 to 2,000 mark on a monthly basis, average to my instinct kind of thing. So it's growing over time. But the other thing is that we also need to have really meaty projects that folks can get engaged with and sink their teeth into. It's not so much a case, I would argue, Neil, not so much a case where large traffic on Engage Frontenac is going to beget large traffic. The responsibility sort of falls to us collectively and to me to encourage people to visit that site. We build the traffic rather than hope that traffic that's extant on the site is going to stumble across our work.
Okay, thanks. And thank you for the information as well.
No problem, anytime. And I would say for our social media properties as well, they work very, very well. About 2/3 of those 60,000 digital interactions that I mentioned either arrive on county channels via social media or come directly, are on social media directly. So about 2/3 of them.
When you say social media, what all does that include? Would that be like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram?
Yep, the largest place for county related traffic right now is Facebook. And frankly, the reason for that is just because so many people across the county, and I know that there are connectivity issues across the county, but so many people interact with each other on Facebook that is where the audience is. So we go there to find them and engage with people. There are thousands of people from Frontenac County on Facebook.
Okay, yeah, because like what Janet was saying there a few minutes ago, like I know, like even just with my dad, I mean, the extent of his social media would be Facebook. Otherwise he would need to be on social media. So how would he find that? And I mean, he was even nervous of going on like online for the longest time. So, and I know his sister would be very similar, but there are people that have lived in the township all their lives and probably have good feedback, right? So I mean, there's just a couple, but I'm sure there's many more. How do we get that information sort of to them who aren't sort of active on all kinds of social media every day or every week?
Yeah, Well, we want very much to draw people away from social media so that we can have them on county digital channels. But I would suggest if there's a sense that a significant number of your constituents are not on social media and may not get this information that we're looking for this review, that we do it the old-fashioned way with posters and focus groups and pressing the flesh and getting out there.
Bill, you have a question, Bill?
Matt, Bill McDonald here. Just when you're getting hits on the various social media outlets, is there any way of determining where those people are actually calling from? Are they mostly within the confines of Frontenac County, or are we able to tell at all if there's interest coming from outside of Frontenac?
We can tell. It's not as precise, especially for Facebook, as I would like. I would like to be able to tell which township, or even better, which postal code they're speaking to us from. But in most cases, it's a bit more general. So we can tell largely by city. We can tell if they're local or whether they're from some far-flung place, from Toronto or the United States or somewhere. By and large, my experience is that it isn't difficult to identify if you're concerned about the authenticity of contributions. I don't know if that's your concern, but if you're concerned about the authenticity of contributions, so you want to make sure that it's people that live in the area that are making the contributions. I haven't found in my own analysis of the previous Engage Frontenac stuff that we have a large problem with outsiders coming in and adding material. Engage Frontenac's rather more precise. I can tell within a few dozen kilometers where the users are coming from, depending on their IP address. But people move around too, right? People commute. People go to Kingston. They go home. So lots of folks in Frontenac County only live here part of the year. So yes, we have clues. We can detect processes whereby our consultations are being corrupted by those who say want to answer the question 100 times and that sort of stuff. We can see that stuff. And we can tell that by and large, responses come from folks who actually responded from the county.
Thank you.
Jerry, you got a question? Go ahead, Jerry.
I think you're muted there, Jerry.
I think you're still muted, Jerry. Okay. So did you have a question, Jerry? No? Okay.
Try pushing the space bar there, Jerry.
Oh, there he is.
There you go.
Okay, there we go. Okay. Yeah, my question for Matt was that a lot of the people in my area, North Frontenac, have a Bell hub from the cell phone towers, but that Bell hub, the IP address is going to show up as Montreal.
Yeah.
Is that a problem with trying to identify where people are coming from? Because Bell centers out of Beaver Hill in Montreal, and that's a long way away.
Yeah. Well, the honest answer is, if somebody really wants to sneak in from outside and make a contribution to the process, they can probably do that. There aren't really great ways other than making people in Frontenac County register for Engage Frontenac and then adding a bunch of personal information, which is what the vendor recommends. Okay. But getting constituents in Frontenac County to volunteer to sign up, at least at this stage, has been very, very uphill. Folks do not want to subscribe to a new thing. They don't want to sign up for a new thing. And so my approach in that case has been to leave Engage Frontenac open for those who can and want to use it, to encourage registration whenever possible, but we wouldn't have this kind of traffic and this useful information if we required constituents to sign up before they could use any of it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm just wondering if there's any specific questions that maybe the committee can think about that we can put up on site, as Matt had suggested, or surveys. What types of questions would you want in such a survey? Or if it's difficult to think of them on the spot, you can certainly send them to me and we can certainly put them up there. I believe Jana has a question.
I think it would probably be helpful if we had a survey to get a sense of the type of disabilities that most need to be addressed within the county. I know some of the things that we don't even think about where I live when we talk about people with disabilities are people in the autism spectrum and their needs. Some of the groups I work with have recently been doing education on how to run meetings that are more friendly for persons with autism, and the various types of physical disabilities. And then we could drill down and ask people if there's areas within their specific community that they have difficulty moving around in. And depending on what kind of devices you use, or if you even use a device, that should generate a whole bunch of different answers. But if your survey has a combination of simple to answer, as Matt was saying, yes or no type questions, or give us 3 examples of, and maybe we could all as a takeaway go off and think about something and send you an email in a week or so. And I'd like to say I've done a lot of surveys in my lifetime and a lot of corporate communications. I'd absolutely love to help with the flyer or anything else we're doing with this.
I like the idea of thinking about something and maybe sending something in. You know, take a bit of time and sort of think about some questions to post for sure. Would that work with you, Janet? Jeanette, I mean.
Yeah, that's pretty tricky, isn't it? A Jeanette and a Janet. Many people call me Jeanette. I have to think about who you're talking to. Yeah, for sure. What I can do is I can follow up with an email after the meeting just to remind the committee to think of some questions that they might like to see on the survey and what we need answered in terms of where we can focus our next 5-year multi-year plan. And then we can get those up on the Engage site through Matt. As well, I can follow up with you, Janet, regarding the flyers or what type of notices that we can reach out to the Grace Center. We can reach out to the Senior Center in Kingston and ask that this information be included in their flyers to more assist those residents in the county who are living with disabilities.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Matt. That was informative and interesting, and yep.
Thanks,
we'll
all.
Appreciate it.
Thanks very much. I'll leave you now, but please don't hesitate to call on me if I can be of any help.
Okay, thank you. You take care. All right, so we'll move on to the 7th point on the agenda. Then, are there any updates from the various townships to report on at this time?
So there was one update included on the agenda from the township of North Frontenac regarding their hall up there. I'm not sure if Eric, are you looking for specific comments from the committee on this, or was this just for information? I know it's not coming up for a little bit, but.
Thank you, Jeanette. Good morning, everybody. The municipality, specifically our manager of community development, and I apologize for my internet connection. I can see from here it's spotty. I was looking for some input on her budgeted proposals for 2022. And again, as you note in the report, and thank you, Jeanette, moving forward, she is going to be doing this in pieces.
So, and through you, Chair Allen, there were no other updates received from the townships, but perhaps I can just take this minute to introduce to the committee James Thompson. He is the new deputy clerk at the Township of South Frontenac and will likely be working closely with the committee as well, along with Jillian. I do know that just from discussions with Angela that there's some work being done on the main entrance at South Frontenac in the coming months. Jillian or James, did you want to speak to that?
Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to forward that to the agenda. I had a couple of vacation days last week, but the renovations have actually just started today. Yeah, so our brand new ramp, it's going to be fully accessible, is underway. So it's the front ramp, and then along with the front vestibule entrance as well. So that's being worked on right now. And in the meantime, we have set up a reception area in our council chambers for the other accessible entrance that patrons can use when they come in.
I'm sorry, where was that again?
Pardon me?
Sorry, where was that again?
The temporary entrance?
The location I meant.
It's in the council chambers entrance.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. There was the grand opening for the trail in Verona a week ago or so. I wasn't sure if anyone was able to attend that or.
I was not able to attend. A few of my colleagues attended. I think there was, well, I know actually the mayor and a few councillors had attended as well. So my understanding was that it was quite successful.
Okay. All right, thank you very much then for that. Just move on to the next point then. I don't think there's any, is there any communications from anyone? Or any other business as well? All right, I guess we'll just move on to our next meeting. Did we have a date in mind for the next meeting then?
So I have October the 4th, Tuesday, October the 4th as the next date. The meeting, or sorry, the committee does meet quarterly. So it's typically, I can't think, April, July, October, and December. So it's typically the first Tuesday of the month, which would be October the 4th. But if that date doesn't work for committee members, we can certainly look at picking another date that would work.
Okay with me.
All right. Yeah, I think that's good with me.
Perfect. So I will send a meeting request out to the members, and that way it gets into your calendars. And again, just moving forward over the next couple of years, we will be doing this virtual because we do not have that administrative building. But I also find it a little easier for some of the committee members who are not able to travel. Unfortunately, Kurt had to send his regrets today because he did have other commitments. But some members have a difficulty traveling. So the Zoom does make it a little easier for them.
It does seem to go well.
Okay.
Okay, all right, we'll adjourn the meeting then. Can I get a motion to adjourn? Bill?
I will so move.
All right, and Jerry. Excellent. Okay, well, thank you, everybody. Have a great day, and try to stay dry.
Have a good
Well,
one.
thank you.
Thank you.
Bye for now.